So in Mozambique, there's this chain of mountains. They're called Inselbergs, kind of island mountains. We visited a mountaintop forest surrounded by a steep circle of rock, and the only way to get up to the forest is with professional climbers. We thought we were going to be the first humans on that mountain, but we did discover archaeology that suggests people had visited maybe 1,000 years ago. We were up there seeing what does a forest structure look like in the complete absence of human interference. We were taking soil samples to reconstruct how this forest had responded to previous periods of climate change. Working in the field, in the forests, in Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, it became increasingly obvious that if you want to make a change in conservation, it's more about the people than the biodiversity per se. Clearly, conservation benefits humanity, but it can incur costs locally, nationally, globally as well. So what might people have benefited from? What crops could have been grown if the forest was allowed to be cut down? In many cases, the local communities are incurring a net but unseen cost by participating in conservation. There's a real need for outside finance to fund activities which allow them to use the forests more sustainably. There's only carbon markets as a feasible mechanism right now to transfer the funding from the people who are benefiting from conservation to those who are on the front lines of enacting that conservation. And if a project's done right, then it directly alleviates the pressures in a way which is sustainable and owned and enacted locally. But from what I'd seen, there was a lot of misunderstanding, uncertainty, and lack of transparency around how these projects were perceived and being run. The step for me from academia and NGOs into BeZero was driven by that motivation to understand what was happening in these projects, to bring that to light so people could tell the good projects from the not so good projects. The projects themselves can get more effective at quantifying their impact, which is appealing for others to invest in. And in that way, the hope is that the amount of finance and activity in the space can be scaled to a point where it can make a difference in more and more places. We're definitely heading in the right direction, and BeZero is central to that in the transparency that we'll bring to the market.